Hey free to play gang, welcome back to another video. So today we're gonna take this a little bit slow. This is gonna be a rather long video. So the thing is, I have talked about 10 Espers who completely destroyed Dislyte. And for today's video, I'm gonna talk about 10 things that, there's obviously more than 10 things that they can do, but 10 things that Dislyte must do, which I think are the the most problematic aspects of Dislyte right now. So I have 10 pointers here. I might have missed something. Let me know down in the comments below whether I missed anything at all. But for the most part, I've already run through this with a bunch of other players as well. And we can all agree on some of these points over here. Okay, so I'm going to address like the main things which are more structural, more systemic in terms of like the Dislyte management. So I don't want to blame the developers for doing whatever they're doing because they're just listening to instructions from higher ups, right? So in terms of management, I am definitely not someone who knows management myself, but what I can say is from a player's perspective who is very much involved with the community, very much involved with the development, the entire lifespan of the game thus far, pointer number one, stop giving empty promises and survey the players more often. So figure out what people feel about new content regularly. So this is something that really hit home to me quite a while ago when they released Celestial Anomaly. And when Celestial Anomaly was done, I expected them to at least, because that was season 0, right? I expected them to at least provide a survey to all their players, asking everyone like, okay, so how do you feel about Celestial Anomaly? What do you think should have changed, right? What do you think can be improved? What do you think is the main reason why the Japanese server actually died? I think it was kind of important for them to at least ask the players what they felt about Celestial Anomaly because it was a major new content that was introduced into the game. It was season 0, it was supposed to be a testing phase. But they tested and they just came to their own conclusions. They didn't bother surveying the player base at all. So this is a big problem, right? Whenever they release new content, they don't really care too much about asking players how we feel. They care more about the backlash, right? Waiting for people to actually start screaming about it and being unhappy about it. Then they start to, oh no, we're going to like start listening to the players. We're going to, give you guys the things that you requested and all that. No, just survey the players often. Maybe every other update. Just ask the players, how is your experience with Dislyte right now? What do you think should be changed? What do you think can be improved? How do you feel about, I don't know, Andras, for example? How do you feel about Shadow Glow? How do you feel about, maybe in the future we will release something, right? More roadmaps, for example. Give us more structured and specific roadmaps that aren't just false promises. So for example, Shade Mother, how is Shade Mother right now? You guys are saying that this is something in the pipeline, but where is it at right now? Players need to know, and I feel like this communication is extremely important. Even if it's not going to happen, right? We should at least know that it's not going to happen. Just stop giving us false promises, false hopes, and especially stop giving us like lazy stuff, right? So that is essentially pointer number one, stop making bad decisions, that's it. Pointer number two, now start funding the development and tester team. So players like us who are in the PTR server, we are not your game testers, right? So us players in the PTR server, we are just normal damn players who are just doing this for a little bit of Nexus crystals or like, just to test stuff out early just because of the hype. We are not your game testers, we are not your bug finders. That is not our job. It is your job to actually have a group of players or a group of actual people who are playing the game and learning the game and then giving proper feedback. So for example, you have Tiki, right? Your Discord community manager. He plays the game every single day. He is probably the best at giving you guys internal advice since he's already part of the Lilith staff, or rather should I say the Farlight team. So yeah, things like that. If you don't want to make any more of these ridiculous mistakes, just focus more on putting some budget towards having actual testers. You can have part-time testers, people who actually enjoy the game a lot. Let them do the testing for you and then give you guys the feedback afterwards. Like me as well, I wouldn't mind. So things about development, right? Now that we're talking about funding development, one thing that I forgot to mention is, I unironically forgotten things like Esper bounties, which I think is just more recent times. We also had Hell mode, which is just completely forgotten. So I think the last time Hell mode was introduced was, I think, 3.7 or something like that. And ever since then, obviously at 3.2, ever since then, Hell mode was just completely like stopped. There was no progression to it. So we were left with chapter 4-16, and that's it. So we are suddenly left with like nothing, and I think most players expected it to be at least like a patchly basis inclusion to more chapters and all that, but that wasn't the case. So it has been, I don't know how many months now, and there's not even a single chapter added into Hell mode. Not sure why that's the case. It seems like a very simple thing. Just put in a bunch of new Espers together, create 2 different teams, and that's it, right? I mean, how hard can it be? You guys have created Celestial Anomaly, you guys have created Andress. Why is Hell Mode put on hold? I don't understand. And I mean, there are other fun stuff like DJ Contest, for example, and yeah, an actually well-written plot, which the game does not have since its inception. So I think to date, I'm actually quite particular about story, and that's part of the reason why I tend to just skip all of your plot, because for the most part, the story in Dislyte is not written very well. Things seem to just jump to weird conclusions all of a sudden, so you don't really have a very good grasp of the world around you. So in terms of world building, I dare say that Dislyte is quite bad at world building. They do give you like, you know, certain areas and certain locations and all that, but you don't really feel it. So the story itself kind of needs a little bit of work. And yeah, so that is pointer number 2. And now, pointer number 3. This is important, and I'm sure a lot of players here would agree. And I think even the whales would agree as well. It's not because you are saving them of their money, but I don't think the whales naturally feel really good about just decimating the majority of the player base just because they have such a strong advantage over everyone else. I don't feel like they actually truly enjoy it. It's kind of like, you know, if you gave me like $1 million that can be spent in the game, then I'm gonna feel like, okay, it's not fun anymore. So the thing is, stop releasing Reso-Gated Espers. Everyone agrees on this. So for example, Ashley, Abigail, Mateo, Leora, Gaius, Tricky, Ollie, they are really good designs. So I mean, there's obviously more Espers like that, but these are some designs that are really good. Now, all of these Espers are also good to begin with, but there are some Espers who, maybe like Javid for example, he also has a really good Reso design, because even though he's Jamid at R0 and Jamid at R6, he is still at least Jamid, but his effectiveness improves with resonances, and that is really good. So his R2 increases the number of hits that he does with his S1, which is really nice. It kind of pushes his kit a little bit more in the right direction, even though he sucks, right? But this is what I mean by good Reso designs. So Espers like Yuntran, Brewster, Ethan, Embla, Hilda, Sally Lian, these are terrible designs because they become extremely disgusting at their Reso tiers, right? So these few Espers at the start, R2 become broken, these few Espers at the back, R6 become broken. Why? Like, Reso should benefit the theme of the Esper, not decide whether it becomes useful or not. So Sally is, for the most part, kind of mid until R6. The moment she hits R6, she overnight becomes extremely strong. So it shouldn't be the case where resonance determines whether the Esper is good or not. Reso should only improve on what the Esper is capable of. So for example, maybe, like for Yuntran, right? Let's say he's R0, his dog will already assist at the start for all of his allies' attacks. But maybe at R2, you can allow the dog to start ignoring defense, right? So you could stagger it that way so that it doesn't become like a matter of like, oh, we need that resonance level, if not this Esper is just completely useless, and this just gives players a lot of unhappiness. Now, pointer number 4. Why the hell was this even missed out, right? So do more community giveaways. So seasonal events. Oh my god. We just had summer. Where is your summer skin? Isn't summer one of the best times of the year where players are just gonna splurge on skins? Summer skins is extremely hot. Be it a husbando, be it a waifu, even your furries as well, players are going to spend on these skins. These are like the hottest skins ever. And then you have the winter skins, which is also, I think winter skins are okay. And you have like Christmas stuff, you have Halloween stuff, all the kind of stuff. Where are these skins? You have the feature of skins, but you're not using it. Like, who is even deciding these things, right? Who is even making these decisions where, okay, we are not even going to release thematic designs? I can't fathom it. I just don't understand. Like, this is basic. All gacha games have seasonal events, seasonal giveaways. For example, free skins, for example, right? Or like Ripple Orb boxes. People have been asking this forever, and this is just gone. Like, you introduced this for a period of time and people are happy about it, and you took it away. You simply took it away just because of balancing, but look at what you have designed. Nothing in this game is balanced at all. Everything in this game is completely broken. Why is that the case? You might really want to reconsider whether the management is actually good with making such decisions. And this brings me back to point number 2 again. Just have proper game testers who would actually figure out whether is such a design good or not. And now another thing, benefits for players who play long term, not short term, and like not like those, you know, oh, welcome back events where you disappear for 3 weeks and you come back with a free legendary Esper. That shouldn't be the case. You should be benefiting your long term players. You should be giving them reasons to stay, not reasons to come back because they're just gonna quit again. So one way that you can manage long term player benefit is to have long term echo events. So for example, I mentioned this before, right? So for example, the 700 summons rookie echo event, this should have been done long ago. This should have been a 6-month recurring cycle. So every 6 months, every single player in this game has 6 months to summon 700 times to get their Shimmer Legendary at the end. Basically just a rookie echo event. And if they are or they are not able to achieve their 700 summons within the 6 months, it resets again for the next period of like the next 6 months. So this will greatly enhance player retention. They are just going to keep coming back because they need to hit the 700 summon mark so that they can get like the Shimmer Legendary or whatever, right? Or maybe some of the resources along the way. So like legendary ability mons, free legendary summons, that kind of stuff. Things that would actually retain the players. And I understand that this is actually going to throw the balance off a little bit more because now there's more freebies. So it's kind of like a contentious topic. But for the most part, I'm sure if it's handled well, players are going to be happy about it. And the game balance is not going to be like blown overboard or anything like that. So I feel like things like that is extremely important. Long-term echo events, much better daily login events, for example, things like that, those really add up a lot. Now, pointer number 5, regular open Esper balancing. Now, the reason why I stressed on the word open here is because you have done a lot of changes behind the scenes and you did not even disclose it. So, for example, you fixed Bonnie's third skill. You now allow her to strip before increasing the cooldowns of the enemies, but it's not mentioned anywhere. Recently, you've done some changes as well, which is like, oh yeah, the R6 version of Lian. Right now, you actually fixed her so that at the start, enemies now have a 25% chance to miss against Lian's teams. So it's like fixes like this that isn't even communicated. And why is that the case? Why do you need me to disclose it? So like for example, Chalmers, right, his second skill, why is it that it is now scaling according to his max HP? You have done all of these changes behind the scenes, not expressed to your player base, and this is not the first time that this has been done. There was a time that you did a major change to Apex stats and you just hid it under the sheets, right? Hid it under the carpet, I mean. Completely kept your player base in the dark on your changes, and this is not the first time. I think we had like something regarding Taylor as well. I can't really recall, but this has always been happening. So we need to have open communication, open changes to Espers as well. If you're going to change anything at all, put it in the patch notes, put it in the patch log, something like that. Game updates, right? You have that. So no shadow changes. Please just stop this. It's you guys do the dumbest shit all the time, man. I don't understand why. So no shadow changes and unpublished fixes, be it small or large. And next, constant analysis of overused and overabused Espers for flagging of imbalance. So for example, if you just go to knockout, right, you see the top 64 players or like maybe the top 100 players or so, you have the data for it. You already know which of the Espers are just heavily abused. Oh my god, I should have clicked on Bravel. I mean, just look at all of these teams, right? You have Lian R6, you have Hilda R6, you have Sally R6. Is this a surprise? It is not a surprise. So just refer to like the top 100 players and you kind of have an idea of what people are abusing and whether there is a need to rebalance these Espers or something like that, right? And on the other hand, you also need to have a constant analysis of underutilized Espers. So there are some Espers who till date, they are just really bad. There's just no content that works for them. So like for example, even the poison Espers, they don't even work for Andros. What? Andros is immune. I mean, his resistance to poison is like insane. So even poison Espers now, they are still not good. So you might really need to relook into Andros again, the way that he's designed, the mechanics behind him, and just generally the theme around him, right? If you want to push for a certain strat, then just push for the certain strat. Stop slipping up with like, I don't know, using Taver R1 for example. How does that even make sense? This is terrible design. Okay, but yeah, that was point number 5, and now we have point number 6. Rare Espers Rework. I think this is something that a lot of players have requested because I read my comments. So give them a new lease of life by improving their abilities and resonances, and give them a rarity upgrade with new enhancements and bonus effects. Make content doable if players put in time to build these Espers. So essentially, like Summoner's War, you have the second ascension. Maybe that could be a good step to make your rare Espers actually more relevant. So you have a bunch of rare Espers who no one used nowadays. So you have like Espers like Bardon, who was good for a very short period of time, and now he's kind of like falling off really hard. And you have other Espers like okay, so the thing about Layla is that Layla is not necessarily the worst. If you fixed Andrus, she's actually not bad because Layla has a really long poison duration of 3 turns. She is the only Esper in this game who has a poison count of 3 turns. So it's not as if she's not viable, it's just that Andrus is a piece of shit. That is the problem with the game right now. So I don't know, maybe one change that you can make to Layla to actually make her useful is to make her completely irresistible. She's always going to land her poison attacks. That will make her very viable, and that would generally just make the player base really happy because now they have accessibility to certain Espers that they can use free to play in beating certain content. And I think that's very important. I think the free-to-play aspect is extremely important in gacha games as well. Like the pay-to-win aspect, I kind of get it. You guys need to earn money and you guys need to make PvP exciting. But for the most part, in terms of just PvE content, come on, you guys can definitely make it more free-to-play friendly. Like all the designs of Fafnir, of Chronos, Apep, and Andrus, they are just way too restrictive right now, and you need specific epics and specific legendaries. And yes, I know you have made them a little bit more accessible, but it is still not that accessible because you're just restricting everyone to like the 5 to 6 Espers that they can choose from, which is you have like so many different Espers in this game, and a huge bulk of them, they are just not useful because of how the game is designed and the kind of stupid restrictions that you have implemented into each of these bosses that makes most other Espers useless, right? So I think the game definitely needs a little bit more versatility in some of the Espers. That is for sure, man. Point number 7, content rework. So we have Sentinel Hunt, Holo Battles, Celestial Anomaly, Warm Matches. These are all fun content, but they lack purpose. Okay, so number 1, Sentinel Hunt, it's so brain dead, right? You just build any damn basic team, you can get EX++ and you call it a day afterwards. I mean, okay, this is more for like end game players, so if you're like mid game or like early game player, this is not gonna pertain to you. And it's just so forgettable because there is no reason to do better in Sentinel Hunt when you can achieve EX++. And the same goes for Holo Battles as well. So you have this entire guild content, which is like, you remove the rewards from it, and players were expecting there to be some massive overhaul or a revamp in the future, but that never came. So the day that you introduced Sentinel Hunt, you scuffed Holo Battles, and you just kept Holo Battles and made it a problem because now players have to participate in Holo Battles even though they don't get anything out of it aside from being like top 10% in the entire world. Who cares? Like, that is such a forgettable content right now that we need to do just because it is part of our club content. And then we have the Celestial Anomaly where, you know, it is fun, the theory crafting is good, but it just becomes a point of like, whoever can rerun this content the most gets the best RNG and therefore they win. Like, this is just terrible design, okay? So Celestial Anomaly needs a lot of rework, needs a lot of rethinking as well. Maybe, I don't know, maybe limit the number of entries per day, or I'm honestly not super sure how you can fix this, but Celestial Anomaly and RNG content isn't really fun, right? So a pay-to-win RNG content, oh my god. And then we have warm-up matches. So the thing is, warm-up matches, you expect players to grind it out like crazy, and what you're left with is players who just automate processes to enter fights and then just AFK and let the AI just automatically pick for them and automatically run whatever, right? That is how you have designed warm-up matches because you have given so little benefit to actually beating like one single run. So right now, if you win one single warm-up match, you're gonna get like, I don't know, what was that, like 15 points or something, and you need like 600 points per day to be at like your best form. Oh my god, that is such a terrible design because now you're forcing players to run this content so many times every single day, leading to burnout / leading to AI or like macros and all that kind of stuff, which is really destroying the landscape a lot in terms of like warm-up matches as a whole. So a lot of these content, they are actually fun, they have good design, but they just lack a lot of purpose. So just increase the reward basis, or I don't know, make Sentinel Hunt with like more difficulty. So instead of just EX++, just make it based on like how much score you can provide, which is the total number of damage they can deal to the boss. Maybe just make it fun, right? Make it something that players can achieve. And I mean, you have just so much at your disposal right now that you're just not tapping into, and I cannot understand why that's the case. This is why I'm so frustrated with Dislyte at this point. And I mean, come on, community content, right? So we've talked about co-op, other games have done co-op. Why is it that we have waited 2 years and there's still no co-op? And I mean, you can also add stuff like world bosses or random invasion. So I can't remember what game was that, but there was this one game that I played in the past, this one gacha game, that randomly in the chat, a boss will spawn and players will just enter that, like, there will be a button that you can just join it and players will just rush towards it because you're going to get a lot of good shit from it. And that was fun because that actually made players stay in the world chat, and that also enhanced the community aspect because in some cases you can actually share the boss fight with your friends and all that. So this actually brings together a lot of players. So these are community content that this game obviously lacks a lot in, and I have no idea why this is the case. Like, you guys have like the best designing team in terms of like character designs, but you guys have the worst designing teams in terms of content in general. You make the most bland content in this, like in all gacha games basically. Okay, I wouldn't say all gacha games, but for Dislyte being one of the better gacha games out there, you guys are certainly one of the worst in terms of content designing. You could literally copy from so many other games, but you chose not to do so, and instead you just want to monetize the players and call it a day afterwards, which is like, whew, good job Dislyte. And also, now that we have Knockout, why is it that Point War is still Point War? Isn't Knockout just the better version of Point War right now? So why do we still have Point War? Why don't we just change it up a little, make it more exciting? Like, for example, right, you can have like monthly themed formats like only epics, or maybe epics and below, or maybe only female, or maybe total reso level. So for example, if you have a whale with like all R6 espers, they can then choose what kind of reso levels they want in their setup, right? So for example, for a total of like, I don't know, 20 stars, for example, whales will have the advantage of actually choosing which of their espers have certain reso levels, as opposed to maybe a very free-to-play player with like very little reso levels, and they can only work with whatever that they have. So it's still not taking away the paid aspect of PvP, but yet at the same time, it gives you a different spin on, you know, just your standard Point War content. And I think overall that just gives the game a little bit more spice in terms of its PvP landscape, which is severely lacking right now. Like when I say it's severely lacking, it's not that players are looking for it, it's because there is not enough reason for players to want to play these PvP content. Like the rewards suck, the content is just freaking boring, it's just Point War and Knockout, the same shit all over again, and then there's RTA, which is just pay to win heaven, so it's like, what the hell, right? And now, pointer number 8, we're almost there guys, we're almost there. So Esper skill descriptions, okay? So stop releasing Espers with essays. So like you take a look at Corrupted Seed, for example, you can actually shift the skill description because it's just so long. So just stop with that shit, right? Just keep it short and concise and straight to the point, which is also my third point here. And this over here, be consistent with skill, passive, buff, and on-attack wording. So for example, why is it that Yuntruan is not able to have his dog Pursuit when he counterattacks, or like when your allies counterattack with an avatar afterwards, right? Like let's say you already debuff extended his third eye seal, so when the enemies attack you and you counterattack, the enemy will still have the third eye seal, but yet you're not going to pursue with the dog. And at the same time, for example, if you avatar proc, Adrena is not going to assist afterwards, which is like, why? What kind of dumbass design is this? Because at the same time, you have espers like Alice, who is able to call in an ally to assist when she uses normal attack. And I understand that the assisting thing is built into her first skill itself, which is why she's able to call in an ally to assist. But why don't you just stick to like the same format? Just every single esper in this game, stick to the same format. Makes things a lot easier to understand, makes builds a lot easier to build, and you just remove the confusion in the game. Because for me right now, I've been releasing so many feedbacks and so many bug reports. So like for example, why is it that Netherbloom is able to downtake when the enemy is hit by poisons, right? So if you have 3 poison debuffs on an enemy with a Netherbloom, the Netherbloom is actually going to go down by 3 stacks when the enemy takes a turn, 3. But yet at the same time, this is not true for Embla. So why is there a difference over here? So the thing is, if poisons are treated as attacks, which can reduce the Netherbloom stacks, why is it that poisons are not treated as attacks to increase the stack of your Corrupted Seed, for example? How does that even make sense? That doesn't make sense. So there's a lot of inconsistencies in skill descriptions and just skill effects, and that is so freaking annoying to me. And another thing, right? So stop with the unnecessary clutter in skills. So for example, Brewster's debuff transfer heals, like people only know him for his assist attacks, right? His normal, his S1. I'm gonna guarantee that about 60% of the player base does not know that Brewster actually transfers debuffs from himself onto enemies, and that he also heals himself on his reload attack stacks. These are things that can be completely removed from his skill because people just don't even know that it exists. Neither is it thematic. So it doesn't even make sense for Brewster. How is it that he shoots a rocket and he heals himself, right? Or how is it that he shoots a rocket and suddenly his diseases are gone, right? That don't make any sense at all. That is completely off theme, and it's just adding to the clutter in their skill kit. So Embla, for example, with 101 different effects. So you have disease when your allies attack enemies with Corrupted Seed. You can also, I can't remember, like she gains AP when the Corrupted Seed explodes. And I'm sure there's some other stuff that I just totally forgot right now. But yeah, like for example, Teva's anti-crit as well. Why do you have stuff like that? Why don't we just focus more on what that character is designed to look like, rather than just throwing in 1001 different things so that the Esper becomes like extremely broken? Who the hell is designing this shit? I'm embarrassed for you for coming up with these stupid designs. Like whoever's doing all of these designs, I'm talking to you right now. Whatever that you're doing is completely an embarrassment. You should feel sorry for yourself for designing stuff like that. It don't make sense. And now finally, resos should be toggleable because some just suck. So Alice R6, for example, you give an ally 10% AP with your normal attack whenever you call in someone to assist. That completely throws off your routine, right? Your ritual miracles are just completely gone because now something that should be slower is now faster just because you have her R6. Same goes for Yuhime R2. She loses more stacks just because of her R2, which doesn't even do anything for her kit aside from increasing the damage by 15%, which is like nothing. And then you have Jin Yao R4 who cuts her own HP just for extra DPS, but sometimes players just don't want to cut their HP. This and Drew R4, when an enemy dies, his speed increases by 20. Why the hell does he need that shit? This Drew R4 really oh my god. I have so many different APEP teams that was supposed to work, but because Drew R4 exists, I can't use him anymore. Like, I would have to increase the speed of everyone else, which means the rest of my builds in other content needs to be changed as well, which is completely nonsense just because of Drew's R4. So just allow us to toggle it on and off. It's as simple as that. And now, pointer number 9. So, banner related issues. So, I must say good things when good things need to be said. So for example, they have done a really good job. Oh my god, I've done 13 runs already. So they've done a really good job with Wish Stones. So I'm gonna give them a kudos for that. So Wish Stones is really a good design. So this allows all players to just summon as they will, and they are never really gonna regret it because they are still gonna get Wish Stones afterwards, which they can use in the event that they really want to pull for a certain Esper, which is a really, really good design. Okay, hold on, let me just give myself more stamina here. Alright, we are back. Okay, so Shimmer PT should be a 100% banner. It shouldn't be a 50%. So the thing is, Shimmer records are extremely rare. It's a major saving. Like, you have to save for a super long time in order for you to get Shimmer records. Or unless you're an Ultra Whale and you're able to get a Shimmer record with every legendary pool that you get, because everything else is just R7 at that point. And the thing is, players can then choose the standard banner if they want to get have a chance of some other Esper. So the thing is, Shimmer records are so rare, and yet you still put a 50% chance for you to get something that you don't want. Which is like, can you imagine saving for an entire year just to get 100 Shimmer records, or about 100 Shimmer records, only to lose on the 50-50? Can you imagine how hurt that player is gonna be? 365 days spent in the game, and they're just gonna quit because of that. So I feel like the Shimmer PT should just absolutely be 100%. Like, if you saved for this banner, then good for you. So same as the Wish Stones, now it's like a guaranteed Shimmer pool. For example, you saved 100, you really wanted a Nusi, you're gonna get a Nusi. That is player-friendly design. And also another thing, right? So players have been asking for higher Wish Stones for epics. I don't think that is necessarily the way to go about it, because I feel like the epics, they are just not coming as fast as they should. And instead, we have stuff like 90% rare Espers for some reason. So I think even to improve the new player experience, you should increase the rates of epics to 19% and just decrease the rates of rares to 80%. Or in fact, you can even reduce the rates of the rares to like 70%, and it's going to be really, really good for the player's experience, and it's really good for the game in general. And this will also deal with the Wish Stone problem that a lot of players are voicing out, which is essentially a lot of players are saying that Epic Espers should give 2 Wish Stones per pool, wherein in this case you're just drawing more Epic Espers, right? And I think that's going to be quite important, because for the most part, Epic Espers, they are kind of like just free to play Espers anyway, so just make it free, right? I don't know, I don't understand. And finally, we have the final point here, PTR Revamp. Okay, so the thing is, you have a PTR server, your whole damn server dedicated for testing, and it's not used for testing. Like, I cover shit, I talk about shit, I report bugs, I report stuff that needs to be nerfed. Nothing ever happens except for the one time that they nerfed Shenpin, because I made a video covering nerf Shenpin right now. Now that aside, the PTR server is essentially just no point, right? There is no use in the PTR server because nothing can be done fast enough. So for example, if you find that certain content is just too rubbish, it's not going to be fixed on time. Aside from the small changes like changing Shade Mother's name to Shadow Glow, it's extremely hard for you to bug fix within that one single week of grace period that we have. So the testing phase is too short for major issues to be caught on time. So if you have bugs, it's not going to be resolved so soon, right? Sometimes some bugs can last for 2 weeks, and like until now, right, I'm still bug reporting, and there are still some things that are just not addressed just yet. So it's essentially just a glorified leak server with no real use aside from just generating hype and just giving players an idea of what's coming up. But I think a very important thing is to transfer the accounts of PTR server native. So the thing is, PTR server is not just about PTR testers. There are also actual real players from Romania and India. And these players, honestly, why are they even in the PTR server when they're up against players with all the Espers in the game, which is the PTR testers? They should not be in the same pool as all of us testers. Instead, why not just do everyone a favor? Just transfer all of these players into the global server, you know? Just close your community together, all of your playable servers merge into one, so that everyone is happy. And frankly, it just don't make sense to me that you have some players in the PTR server who are not getting PTR benefits at all. Like, to them, that is their Dislyte, and that is the worst possible version of Dislyte, which is like the buggiest version, the server with so many players with all the Espers in the game, like so many issues, man. And maybe the final point for the day is to give testers like myself, max out characters so that we can actually test stuff. So the thing is, a lot of these things that were brought into the global server would not have been possible because we wouldn't have found out whether these Espers would have certain issues, because we don't have them at various Reso levels. For example, we are not able to test Andra 16, for example. We are not able to give really important feedback at the start because we just don't have access to those resources. So how is it that we are testing stuff without being able to test stuff at all? This is definitely something that needs to be looked at, and it needs to be looked at ASAP. Like, the PTR server needs to have a purpose, and I don't see the purpose right now. Alright, so I talked for a total of close to 40 minutes right now. What you're seeing is obviously a really trimmed down version, so I've definitely cut down a lot of stuff, unnecessary stuff, and starters and all that. But yeah, let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below. Do you have any other inputs for the developers? Because I am definitely going to show this to them, this video at least. I'm definitely going to bring across all of my points, and I need them to take not just all of these points seriously, but things that you have to say as well. So if in the comments below you find that there is something that really interests you, or you feel like it's something that really needs to be said, or really needs to be raised, right? Go ahead and give that comment a thumbs up for visibility so that it's a lot easier for me to collect all of these extra information and provide it to the developers as well. So yeah, do me a favor and do just that. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed today's content. If you did, don't forget to thumbs up, it really helps the channel, and subscribe for more Dislyte content. Now that this has been Free to Play, and as always, I will see you in the next video.